Recently, I was sent a question, and the question asker said, maybe you should address a video on whether men and women can really be friends. And I thought about it, and I was like, that is a good topic because it's something that comes up quite often. And this is my response. I've been a woman who's always had male friends, always. I mean, from kindergarten. Before that, I've always had guys as my friends. I have three brothers, and then there's me. So I'm used to being around male energy. To me, there's no reason to assume that because a guy is around you, that there's any kind of romantic interest. That's never happened. So, for me to answer this question, I'm going to be talking about my observations on a wide scale. I'm going to be talking about personal experience, and I will be talking about things that I've heard from both men and women over the last 30 years. So, let's start with this. Can men and women be friends? The answer is a resounding yes. There's no reason to think that because someone is viewed as a friend that they have to be the same gender. There's actually a lot of reasons why it's really a beneficial thing to have a friend, a really good friend of the opposite sex, even if you're in a relationship or married. Many times people they get caught up in bad understanding, shall we say, and some severe conflicts with their mate. A friend of the same gender can provide a perspective that will enable you to understand where your mate's coming from and to smooth things over. In essence, a good friend of the opposite sex can actually help your relationship. Now, the the question though becomes, do you and your mate trust this person? And that seems to be the issue with a lot of people. They don't trust that the person that their mate has as a quote friend is really just a friend. So let me explain though, some of the situations that people find themselves in when they have a mate, or maybe it's you're the one, maybe perhaps you're the one that has the friend and is causing some concerns with your partner. Either way, male or female, these are the issues as I see them, the different situations that come up. Okay, you go into a relationship, right? And you bring with you a childhood friend of the opposite sex, and you and this person been friends since you was like toddlers and diapers, some early stage of life, and your families know each other well. They've always been a friend of yours. They've dated other people. They're married to other people. There's some kind of history between you that goes back to your youth. Okay, that's one situation. Another situation is perhaps you are an adult or someone older and you've met an individual of the opposite sex through some kind of club or some kind of leisure activity kind of thing that you participate in as a group, like a softball team, a bowling league, something like that. And that's your primary point of contact with that person, is within the parameters of these events or these activities. Then you have someone that maybe you met at a job, so you're work buddies. You don't really see each other that much outside, but you may. Then we get into the good stuff, the ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend that people maintain ties to, and I'm going to talk about those relationships. And then we have the ex-husband, ex-wife, the baby mama, daddy slash whoever, and now you call yourselves being friends. And but you do have to co-parent with this person if you have children together. But ex-marital, ex-spouses, perhaps with or without children, if there's no children, then there's really no reason for them to continue to be in contact. So let me kind of go over some of these and some of the issues that arise for the new partner. So you have a childhood friend, Okay, now until that person really spends some time around you and gets to see this relationship in action, they may be somewhat, leery, have a couple of questions, be a little bit ill at ease. But that should be quickly put to rest once they see how ingrained this individual is with your family. How like pictures of the family pictures from long ago with the two of you in them, in little baby swimming pools or something. I don't know, whatever. So those things, that really shouldn't be an issue. If you have a partner who is still concerned about a situation like that, then you need to give your partner the side eye. You can only reassure people to a point, and after that, their insecurities become stifling and will kind of keep you from having the kind of relationships that you need to have outside of your relationship, your romantic relationship that you're having with your partner. It's become very stifling. You feel like you're on a cage. I mean, you're in a cage or you're on a chain, like a dog. Now, if you have people that you met through a club, some kind of common activities, and that's your primary point of contact with them, perhaps you might have a barbecue or something like that. You may invite them to it, but this is not really the kind of person you go like hang around with or whatever. You may have, as a group, everybody goes out to have a drink or something after the game is played, after the group meeting, something like that. And you may talk to this person, but it's only about on the phone rather, but it's only about setting up the next activities or whatever. Yes, that person will be calling. Yes, that person's name will come up, and yes, they are a friend, but that doesn't mean that you even have enough contact with them to get any kind of relationship going, because you only see them at these activities, right? That's something that can also be easily explained. You can have a situation where you met at a job, right? And you're work buddies. So you guys, as a group, everybody goes out to lunch or everybody goes to have drinks at happy hour. And there may be an occasion, especially if this person works in your department, where the two of you spend time together. Now, your coworkers, especially if you work in a kind of thing where there are teams and you're on the same team and you have a project together, that would be, totally inappropriate thing. I think that work relationships, as long as they are, there are boundaries and restrictions. Most companies have policies in place against that kind of stuff anyway. But as long as there are boundaries established and each party maintains them, there should be no problem having these people around in your life as well. Invited them to the birthday parties and the weddings and, things of that nature. Then we get to the interesting part, the ex-boyfriend and ex-girlfriend that you don't have any children with. Okay, now this is when the shit starts to get dirty. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm still friends with my ex. Why the fuck are you friends with your ex? What the fuck is that about? Now, see, I'm not really a jealous type, but I know bullshit when I see it. And that's somebody that you was fucking, okay? Just look at it realistically. You were fucking this person. Now you're fucking somebody else. But you, the person that you fucking now, don't really want to see the person that you used to fuck hanging around and you giggling on the phone with them and you tipping off having lunch and dinner with them. What the hell are you doing? And it's like there has to be a point at which people, like I said, you don't have any children with this person, so you have no reason to continue an association with them at all. None. So what you're doing, though, is dragging your past into your present and fucking up your current relationship and causing unnecessary stress and strife with your new relationship because you refuse to cut ties with the past and let the past stay in the past where it belongs. That is a huge problem, and this comes up a lot where people think, oh, well, we're just friends. Nope, there's somebody harboring some feelings there. Whether they're positive or negative, hopeful or whatever, there's still some unfinished business. You need to acknowledge that and let that person go. All doors to the past in a situation like that must be closed. You cannot have a friendship with an ex that you used to fuck and bring that shit to the new relationship. Now, I am solidly against that. It just really puts the new person at a disadvantage. And it's like you're showing favoritism. You care more about your relationship with some past motherfucker, some past bitch, than you do the new one, because their feelings of not being cut off are more important to you than the feelings of dismay and confusion that your new partner is having. You see how that works? I would refuse to deal with any dude like that, because I'm not going to have, the time that I'm spending trying to get to know you interrupted by some bitch from the past. That's not going to happen. Not in my world. Okay. Then we have the final scenario where, you have children with this person, and you call that person a friend, or you do friendly things together, just the two of you. Now, if there's something that you do with your children, like birthday parties, PTA meetings, parent teacher conferences, take the kid out for their birthday, this kind of stuff, that's one thing. But you spending time with your ex just to be around them, um, that's not real. That's kind of unsavory, especially these people that want to go and say, oh, well, I'm going to go visit my children, and then you spend the night at the house with your ex. What's that? See, people try to set that up, talk about, well, we just friends. No, the fuck you not. You think people are stupid? You don't need to stay there at the house. You get the kid and bring the kid to your house. That's how you handle it. So you keep boundaries. See, that's what I keep talking about. People don't have proper boundaries, and you must maintain those in order to make a real clear delineation between the past and the present. And that is something that I think people just don't seem to be able to do. And so they drag that garbage with them, that what they call it, baggage, into the new relationship. And I think that's entirely inappropriate. So yes, men and women definitely can be friends. I definitely believe that. I believe that a lot of that is based upon strict rules. And my rule is this: I treat all my friends the same, male or female, young or old. I all treat them the same. So there will be nothing that I will do with my male friends that I different than what I do with my female friends, and vice versa. And it makes everything very clear. I have one standard of friendship. It doesn't matter of anything else. And there's some rules that I have, and you violate them, and I don't care how long we've been friends, you cut off. That's it. It's over. And I think if people understood that, there will be no kissing on the mouth, there will be no sexting, there will be no sex period, there will be no suggestive flirty texts or phone calls or emails or anything like that. There will be no foreplay type touches, rubs on the butt and all this sort of stuff. You see what I mean? That's stuff that you need to do with your current partner, not anyone from the past. And if you don't do that kind of butt rubs and titty rubs and all this other shit with your girlfriends, then you don't do them with any male friends either. Those are my standards, and I adhere to them like at all times. It becomes quite an issue, when you have a situation where the friend may have a different perspective than the mate does, and the person who is in the middle, the one who's married to the other person or whatever, it puts them in an awkward position. But I'm thinking, if their relationship is solid, if they really trust that individual, and if that individual is not at all invested in any kind of romantic venture, they're truly just a friend, then there's some value to that, and it should be respected. Now, people have said, well, I understand if it's a childhood friend and, this is somebody they grew up with, but I don't really think they should be making friends with the opposite sex after they're in a relationship or marriage. My question to these people who say that is, okay, so what, are you going to put your mate in a cage? They're not supposed to have no contact with the opposite sex after they fucking met your ass? I mean, really? These are people who are extremely insecure. And my thing is this: if you're with somebody and they have a friendly relationship with someone, and it just happens to be someone of the opposite sex, and you're going to flip the fuck out and act a goddamn fool about it, that says more about you and your own insecurities and weak mind and fears and biases and everything else than it says about your mate. And especially if you haven't even really met the person, you don't know the person that they've been friendly with. There's no reason for you to automatically assume that that person means your relationship harm. And that's what I see happen. You know, these people jump to conclusions just because the person that their boyfriend has as a friend is a woman. That don't mean she wants your motherfucker. She could have a man of her own. She could be head engaged, whatever. I mean, people are friendly because of certain situations that throw them together. It could be work, some kind of similar, recreational activity. It could be some kind of, hobby. I mean, some kind of club that they're in. You don't know what the situation is, so I can't really make those kind of judgments that across the board, this your mate being friendly with someone that they have a common interest with, a hobby with, work with, any of that is a bad thing. I mean, it just makes no sense. So then people say, well, the man is always in the background. He's lingering around. He just waiting for an opportunity, because he going to swoop in. Okay. Um, if you fuck up, and I hate to say this, but this is the reality. If you fuck up your relationship and your mate decides that he or she is done with you and they go on and move on to somebody else, start dating somebody else, that's your fault. You shouldn't have fucked up. So don't be mad at them for going out with somebody else who they were friendly with before. You looking at it like, this person was waiting in the wings just for an opportunity, whether they were or whether they were not. The bottom line is they wouldn't have got a chance if you kept your shit together. Okay, so if you fucked up being jealous, stupid, cheating, lying, corner cutting, not holding up your end of the relationship, whatever reason your mate had to get rid of you, move on, that's your fault. So the fact that they're with somebody else who was, in the friend zone, so you thought, still that's your fault. And who they get with after they're done with you is none of your goddamn business. So I don't know. I think, I mean, I've had like a male roommate who was just a friend, and I, was dating somebody else. I've had guy friends that I've had since, high school, and it was really, it was kind of interesting, to see somehow the reactions of some of the men in my life as I, went forward. Some were cool with it, they didn't trip. They would go out with a beer with dude, and everything. And others felt so threatened. It was just really a turnoff to see how they responded, and their negative reaction to this guy who really seriously was nothing more than a friend. I mean, he was a very dear friend of mine. I just, because he happened to be a male, I mean, to me that was irrelevant. I mean, there was nothing about him that I thought was, sexy and that I wanted to get with him and all that old stuff. This guy, I mean, he was just like a true got your back. I'm all about you. What's going on? Let's catch up kind of friend. And I don't know. I think maybe because I've had, I have so many brothers, and I'm just used to being around male energy. I just never saw any real need to cross those boundaries and violate the friendship that I had with these guys. And I think when people consider that and they feel threatened by it, they're assuming that their mate doesn't have any such boundaries. And I'm going to say this: if a woman puts a dude in the friend zone, it's because she doesn't have that kind of interest in him. And some say, well, yeah, but in a desperate moment, she might, crack that glass, like Crick Rock says, break that break that glass and snatch dude out as a, emergency backup plan. I'm still gonna say this, dudes, why are you worried about that? If you got your shit together and your program is tight, no matter what happens, she's not gonna be looking at anybody else. She's gonna be looking only at you. So if you have that kind of concerns, whether you're male or female, you're afraid that your mate will have interest in someone else, that them being friends with someone else somehow threatens your relationship. You want to run all kind of interference. You want to, you can't be friends with that hoe. You can't be friends with that nigga. All this kind of stuff you guys are talking. what you're really doing is showing your absolute total fear and insecurity about your relationship. And there's a phrase, there's a saying, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back to you, then it's really yours. And I really believe that. So I've never, ever, ever held on to any kind of relationship in a clutching chokehold. You can't do that. That's not going to mean that that person really loves you. People have to choose to be with you. And those of you who are so fearful that someone who has a friend of another sex is going to end up in a relationship with that person and leave you, I mean, okay, if they do, then that was what was meant to be. And there's nothing you can do about it. So you running around like a chicken with no head trying to, block off every action and every interaction that they have with somebody of the opposite sex, you're not going to accomplish your goal. I mean, you can't stop your mate from being with someone else. You can't stop your mate from developing feelings or falling in love with someone else. The only way you can do that is if your shit is so tight that your mate is so emotionally attached to you that even if they have friends of the opposite sex, you're still the one that they come to and like unburden their soul. Okay? But if you got a man, you got a woman who's unburdening their soul to someone else, you have a problem because your relationship is not as tight as you might think it is. So that's my perspective. I really do believe that women hold the cards there. If a woman decides that a guy is just a friend, then that's all he's gonna be till the day they throw dirt on his coffin. But you know, I mean, because I remember that movie. I can't remember what the name it was called, with Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, and how he was talking about, how a guy can be friends with a woman even if she's ugly, he'll still want to tap it. It's the same thing, I think. The women hold the cards. If you decide that a guy is only a friend, that's all he'll ever be. And it doesn't matter what he wants, what he likes, what he thinks, what he dreams of. It's irrelevant. You hold the cards because, he's not going to get out the friend zone unless you open the gate and let him out. So you keep him in the friend zone, if he really likes you and that's what he wants to be, then that's where he'll be. But you let him out and try to make it be more than that, well, then you're going to have, as we say, a situation on your hands. So, without a doubt, and to sum things up, men and women can definitely just be friends. To me, the parameters and boundaries on those relationships are in the hands of the woman. And, because no matter if the guy likes her, wants to get with her, wants to fuck her, thinks she's hot, all that's irrelevant. If she does not feel the same way about him and she puts him in the friend zone, that is where he's going to stay. That is an inescapable zone, and that's an area, the DMZ, there's no action there at all. That's where you're going to stay. So that's my thoughts on the whole, men versus women as friends thing. To sum it up, yes, men and women can definitely be friends. I've proven that, over the last 30 years of my life. You can have male friends. But, make sure that that's all that you want it to be. Don't pretend that you want it to be, a friendship, when in reality you want it to be something else and you're just using a friendship as a cover. Males or females, don't do that. Own your feelings. Be upfront and honest about it. If the person that you're interested in is not interested in you back, then, suck it up like a big boy, a big girl, and move on down a dusty trail. That's my suggestion. My name is Deborrah Cooper. I am the advice columnist on survivingdating.com. We'll have some more videos coming out this weekend, and I hope that you enjoy them. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.